Today on the Trent Out Loud Podcast. This is what the next 3.5 months are going to be like. The 34-time convicted felon against the prosecutor. What up? It's your boy Trent Out Loud, and I'm back with another episode. All right, it's Tuesday morning. I'm feeling good. The sun is shining, and it's a good summer day. I don't know what else to say. All right, I got a good show set up for you guys today. Of course, you know this is day 2 of Kamala Harris, so we're going to have some more Kamala and Donald Trump stuff going on. But I did throw in some other news, although that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are literally just taking up every headline there is. But, all right, I got 4 lead stories for you guys today. The first lead story we're going to talk about is Chris Brown being sued for $50 million for an alleged assault. Then in our second lead story, we're going to talk about Donald Trump donating to Kamala Harris's campaign. Our third lead story, we're going to talk about Kamala Harris attacking Joe Biden on her first day on the campaign trail. And then lastly, in our fourth lead story, we're going to talk about Whoopi Goldberg calling out the Democrats for publicly disagreeing with Joe Biden. Then we're going to jump into quick news. We're going to talk about Chris Brown again, Kamala Harris again. She's going to be, she's speaking about Joe Biden dropping out for the first time. Then we're going to talk about Donald Trump and then Kamala Harris. All right. Then we're going to jump into question of the day. And then, of course, we're going to close out, as we always do, with a little bit of sports news. Y'all know what time it is. Turn your TVs, radios, or your devices up. I'm about to start this show. Let's go. Chris Brown and Yella Breezy reportedly hit with a $50 million lawsuit after 4 men alleged they were assaulted by Chris Brown's entourage during a meet and greet. All right, so Chris Brown and Yella have reportedly found themselves in some legal trouble. The 2 artists are being accused of being involved in an assault that took place backstage during Chris Brown's 11/11 tour stop. A rep for Buzz B Law Firm spoke about the lawsuit on an Instagram post on Monday, and new details have been revealed since. According to TMZ TV, 4 men, Larry Parker, Joseph Lewis, Charles Bush, and DeMarcus Powell, are seeking $50 million after allegedly being attacked during a meet and greet at Chris Brown's Fort Worth, Texas tour stop. The men have filed a lawsuit claiming that upon leaving the VIP area, Charles Bush dapped up Chris Brown and congratulated him on a good show. The suit claims that a member of Chris's entourage screamed, "Man, you don't remember these 2 are beefing?" Chris allegedly chimed in saying, "Oh yeah, we were. What's up, N-word?" And he said, "I don't forget that ish." According to the suit, Chris allegedly told his people to put pause on Bush. Bush alleges that he was surrounded by around 7 to 10 members of Chris Brown's crew who allegedly punched and kicked him repeatedly. He also claims 1 man threw a chair at his head. The plaintiffs also allege Chris Brown instructed Yella Breezy to assault Larry Parker on the staircase. All right, so there was lots of reports floating around yesterday about this. This is the last one that I grabbed. Of course, Chris Brown and Yella are denying the case. They're claiming that it was self-defense. And then, of course, the 4 other men are claiming that Chris Brown roughed them up. It is fact that they did know each other. And what it seems like to me is that, from what I've seen, is that Chris didn't even recognize the guy at first. So why was he back there if he knew that Chris Brown had issues with him? That's the part that I find a little bit confusing. So maybe Chris Brown's security detail was like, "Yo, Chris, you know what I'm saying? Like, be on your P's and Q's. You're dapping this guy up. You don't realize who he is. Y'all have beef." And then when they realized who it was, they were like, that's when everything started out. So, you know, was this guy trying to be slick getting in through a meet and greet to maybe do something to Chris Brown and his team? That's what it's looking like from Chris Brown's side. And that would make sense to me too, right? If I'm backstage, I'm doing meet and greets, and y'all know that Chris Brown's meet and greets are mostly like ladies, and he's taking all these crazy pictures with ladies that pay like, I think it's like $1,100 to have very like risque pictures taken with Chris Brown. So we know Chris Brown's meet and greet is a little bit, like a fun kind of, not very uptight kind of situation. So maybe these guys were like, yo, this is the perfect time to get up on him. So that's what it's seeming like from Chris Brown's side. On the four guys side, it's more seeming like, hey, I didn't even remember about that beef. I was just coming to dap you up as a fan. And then, hey, all of a sudden you guys came and attacked me, your security guard, blah, 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 blah. So like I said, there's a lot of reports going on back and forth. As always, I will follow up and we'll see if this is a frivolous lawsuit. $50 million sounds like a lot to me. I know it is for men, so it's probably cumulative of each one is seeking $12 million ish, all right, 12.5 or whatever, to bring it up to 50, but that does sound a little bit high. What probably will happen is Chris Brown will probably just settle out of court and, pay them whatever, a couple of $100,000 to just make this go away. And we never hear anything about it again. We'll see. I actually have a story in quick news about how much Chris Brown is making on his tour right now. And you will see why it will breed nothing for Chris to just give these guys a couple $100,000 to quiet them down and for this not to just continue. As you all know, Chris Brown already faces a lot of scrutiny in the industry from what he did with Rihanna. So he's, always saying that he's blackballed and he's not invited to the BET Awards and he's not invited to this. And it seems like he's on a good path, doing very well with this tour. So I don't think Chris Brown wants any more bad publicity. So I think he's probably just going to pay this off and we won't know anything about it. So like I said, I'll follow up and let y'all know. All right, this is an interesting one. In our second lead story, public records show Donald Trump and his daughter Ivanka Trump donated a combined total of $8,000 to VP Harris's, Kamala Harris's previous campaign. So Trump can say a lot about Kamala Harris, but we hope he doesn't forget that he added to her campaign twice in 2011 and 2003. Yep, you're reading that correctly. According to reports by USA Today, from 2011 and 2013, Trump gave $6,000 to Harris's campaign. Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, also donated $2,000 to Harris in 2024. Former President Donald Trump has made various statements about Vice President Kamala Harris, often criticizing her policies and decisions. During his presidency and afterwards, Trump has been vocal about his disagreements with Harris on issues such as immigration, healthcare, and criminal justice reform. But let the record show he donated $5,000 during her first bid for Attorney General in 2011 and $1,000 in 2013 during her re-election. Michelle Steele's former chair of Republican National Committee joked about the donation. She said, when Trump wrote a check to re-elect Kamala Harris in 2011, I bet he didn't think she'd cash it in 2024. So, look, of course, a lot of people are making light of this online and saying that, that I think it was like Claudia Jordan that was like, yeah, Trump is not a real Republican. He's cosplaying as a Republican. Why would he donate to Democrats, etc.? And like I always say to you guys, I'm not on anybody's side here. I'm just here to just report the news and give you my take on things. That's the point of the podcast. So I'm just going to be fair on this. This doesn't really read anything to me just as kind of like almost like just more as a joke. He didn't donate to her presidential run. This is her running. What's the technical thing that she was running for? Let me just pull that up again. It was an attorney general. Just want to make sure. Hold on. Yeah, exactly. For her first bid as attorney general. So this is in California, right? So listen, Trump is a billionaire. So, attorney generals and people in politics always hit up billionaires. It could have just been for a dinner. It could have been something, who knows? That a lot of, successful business people that's how they mingle and, get around in the political avenue. So this was, oh my gosh, 12 or 13 years ago. So while, yes, indirectly it is funny to say, hey, I actually contributed to her campaign, 15 or 10 or 15 years ago, it wasn't for her presidential bid. So this is nothing more than a joke. People are misconstruing it that he actually, donated to her presidential run or her VP run. This was her as Attorney General in California. It has nothing to do with presidency. It has nothing to do with anything that's going on right now. So it is a funny joke, and how they ended off saying, he didn't think that she would cash it in 2024. But hey, I'm sure if you pull up the records, Donald Trump has donated to a bunch of people that he has gone to war with or will go to war with in the future. So this is nothing more than just a funny joke. All right, in our third lead story, talking about war between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris comes out to Beyonce's song Freedom while speaking at her campaign staff's meeting. All right, so this was Kamala Harris's second speech for the day. Her first speech was at the White House with some NCAA athletes, and it was her first time actually addressing the nation as, you can't really call her the nominee because she doesn't have the official nomination yet, but her official act as the presumptive lead nominee for the Democratic Party. And actually going to talk about that in quick news. But her second stop was in Delaware, which was the Biden-Harris campaign headquarters, and now they have changed it to Harris. So she said, hey, my first day out campaigning, I want to go to the headquarters and talk to my staff that's supporting me the most. And she walked out to Beyonce's Freedom, which was amazing. That totally went viral, went everywhere online. But more importantly, as they say in this article, it says Kamala Harris walked out to Beyonce's song Freedom and also took some shots at Donald Trump during her speech. I have a little clip. Take a listen.
And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
For those of you who are not seeing the video, the look on her face, and we edited it up, but she paused for about 10 or 15 seconds while people clapped after she said perpetrators of all kinds. She had a smirk on her face, and we were like, ah! Like, this is what the next 3.5 months are going to be like. It's literally the perpetrator, the 34-time convicted felon against the prosecutor. And like I told you guys a couple of days ago, last week when I was speaking to my cousin, who is well versed, he's a pilot, he knows about his politics. He didn't know that Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. A lot of people don't know Kamala Harris's history and what her background is. And like I said, she was an attorney general, she was a prosecutor in California, and not like in a little dinky state also. Like, we're talking about California. I think it was the first largest or second largest. She was the first woman prosecutor. She was the first woman attorney general. Like, she is a powerhouse. And she made her a career persecuting criminals. You know what I mean? And like it or not, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but he is a convicted felon. Yes, his charges can be overturned. He's going to appeal them, but right now he's a convicted felon. So she built a career off of putting people like him away, more importantly, dealing with him. But it's going to be the record against, his record against her record. And it's going to be very hard for Donald Trump. We'll talk about that also too in quick news. It's going to be very hard for Donald Trump to kind of pivot his way out of this. Before it was, Sleepy Joe, he's old, he's this, he can't talk, he doesn't know what he's saying, he doesn't know what's going on. Now, you might not agree with Kamala Harris's policies, but she is sharp as a tack, and she is a former prosecutor, meaning that she knows how to put together and present to a jury of 12 people or a jury of, half a half a billion people in the United States to present a case. So it's going to be super interesting to see the dynamic of how vastly different these two's backgrounds are, So anyways, I like that she took a shot at him right away. Donald Trump has been taking shots at her all day yesterday too. I'm not even going to read them out because they're just ridiculous. He called her dumb as a rock, which is like, how could you call her dumb as a rock? Again, I think he's going to get himself in trouble trying to take the Joe Biden approach. He's dumb. He's the worst. He's this, whatever, blah, blah. You cannot speak about somebody that educated, that accomplished like that, and come and you don't think you're going to you think you're going to be able to convince your people by saying she's dumb as a rock. I would, if I were him, I would go after her policies. Say, hey, look at the mistakes that Joe Biden did. Go after her immigration policies. She was in charge of the border. Attack that. I think you should flip the way that he's been going after Biden and flip and be like, hey, you know what? Totally respect Kamala, everything that she did. You know what I mean? She's more of a formidable opponent. But however, at the end of the day, all her policies are horrible, blah, 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 blah. You need to go on the Republican side and da, 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 da. That's, if I was a political strategist, that's how I would tell Donald Trump to approach it. But we all know that Donald Trump has a temper, and he lets his ego get in the way of him. So we shall see. Day one was amazing, but we'll see. And hey, I haven't asked you guys yet this show. Let me know what you think about the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Where do you guys stand? Even with the 3 or 4 stories I just mentioned today, let me know what you think. Send me an email, trentoutloud@cfqr600.com, comment below, or send me a DM at Trent Out Loud on all social handles. All right, in our 4th and final lead story, Whoopi Goldberg calls out Democrats for publicly disagreeing over Biden. She said, I felt it was disrespectful. On Monday's episode of ABC's talk show The View, Whoopi Goldberg weighed in on Joe Biden's announcement to withdraw from the presidential race. During the conversation, Goldberg expressed that she was frustrated with the way Biden's fellow Democrats pressured him to step down. I would have preferred my Democrats to not do this publicly in everyone's face, she said. What it did was had us sitting talking about it endlessly. I know the American people, regardless who the nominee will be, it's going to be up to the people. She also went on to say, the messaging that we put out to people over certain ages is horrific. We have basically said, hey, you know what? We kind of think you're over a certain age. We kind of think if you're over a certain age, we don't really want you to take on this job that you're doing. This is the message that we put out, and I'm bored of hearing that, said Whoopi Goldberg. All right. I have a little clip. I'm going to play a little clip, but then come back and give you my take because I really disagree with what Whoopi said, but take a little listen.
Messaging that we have put out to people over a certain age is horrific. We have basically said, hey, you know what? We kind of think if you're over a certain age, you don't really have what it takes to do the job that you're doing. I would have preferred my Democrats to do this, not publicly, yes, and in everybody's face.
All right, so here's my thought. Yes, perhaps the Democratic leadership should not have made their fight to have Joe Biden step down so public. Maybe. However, it was made very clear that there's things going on behind closed doors. And sometimes you need the pressure of the public to get through to somebody. Now, there's another way of looking at it is that I know I'm a conspiracy theorist sometimes, but you could look at it like that to get Kamala more support, you garner the people and be like, listen, Joe, we're internal fighting. What should you do? What should he do? Da, da, da. And you make him seem like he's putting up this fight, like he doesn't want to step down. And then you have him step down after you have that battle. And now he looks like a hero, right? Where it's like, you know what? I didn't want to go. I fought till the end, but actually, you know what? I made the decision for you. You know what I mean? You, the people, like him stepping down now, he still looks strong in how he's stepping down. Like I said, that's a conspiracy theory. I get it. But anyways, I'll just even give that to Whoopi if you want me to give it to you. The thing that I disagree with her wholeheartedly, though, is the age part of it, where I don't think it was had everything to do with his age, because Donald Trump is 3 years younger than Joe Biden, and nobody said anything about his age. It was the fact that he was forgetting things, calling Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, calling President Zelensky, President Putin. Like, he was mixing things up. If he was 85 years old but sharp as a whip, nobody would have said anything to him. So it wasn't like, hey, you're sharp as a tack and you do everything amazing, but you're just old, so you have to leave. It was, no, dude, your age is showing. Your cognitive abilities are showing. If he was 70 years old, if he was 10 years younger than Donald Trump, but cognitively he wasn't able to speak, he was forgetting things during a speech, during a debate. A lot of times had two sentences put together that meant two different things. So it really wasn't his age. It was the fact that he couldn't cognitively put all his thoughts together. And listen, I was the one riding like, yo, I don't think you should step away. I want to see him and Trump fight, go head to head. But after the debate, even I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, this is not even a fight. Like, how could you even vote for somebody that can't even talk on a debate stage? How could he be on the phone arguing with Putin and Zelensky and, Israel and, all of these things that are going on globally, So anyways, again, it's not an age thing. It was his cognitive abilities. I like that he stepped down. Whether you think that he stepped down, if it was, all a ploy to gather all us up and get all of our attention, that's obviously what they're saying online, the conspiracy theorists. Whether you think it was real or fake or whatever, he stepped down. Kamala is there. Everybody is excited. The whole party, everything is great. And had nothing to do with his age. That's what's most important. All right, this takes us to quick news. Ring my bell. Talking about Chris Brown earlier, Chris Brown earned $9 million from just 3 shows from his 11/11 tour. He's projected to earn a total of $80 million by the end of his tour. They say Chris Brown is 20 years into his career and still doing big numbers. He has been, they asked, have you been to his concert yet? So I have a little paper here that's showing like the breakdown of his dates and how he made $9 million. But I'm not even going to get into that right now because I'm running low on time. But like I said earlier, with the little mishap that happened backstage, Chris, you're on a good path. You're doing good. Regardless of whatever happened with those guys backstage, pay them off. Keep going because I want to see you doing well. So shout out to Chris Brown, making his money. I want to see him get his name back in good graces, back in award shows and stuff. So shout out to Chris. All right, in our second quick story, Kamala Harris speaks on President Biden's accomplishment at first White House event since Biden's withdrawal. In President Biden's absence, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke at the first White House event since Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. VP Harris gave an update on President Biden's health and spoke about all that he's accomplished in his first term as president. I have a little clip. Take a listen.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president.
Like I said, conspiracy number 2 today. Like I said a couple of days ago, it just so happened that President Biden has COVID, and now Kamala Harris has to take over some presidential duties. The first time he withdraws, now the next day she's there doing presidential duties. I'm just saying this was all a setup. I predicted it, but if y'all want to think that this just so happened to just happen, matter of factly, oh, he doesn't want to withdraw, he's going to stay in. Oh, he has COVID. Oh my God, she's going to withdraw. Kamala Harris is now going to be talking for Joe Biden, and she's seeming very presidential. And come on, man, come on. This is like a Tyler Perry movie here, you know what I mean? But anyways, I love to see it. Shout out to Kamala Harris. All right, in our third quick story, Kamala Harris set a presidential donation record, raising $81 million in 24 hours. Harris raises $81 million in 24 hours since Biden drops out and endorsed her, setting a new presidential donation record. Again, further proof, just the momentum, the talk, like people are excited. They brought everyone's spirits so low, seeing Joe like being crushed, like, oh my gosh, he can't talk, this, we're going to have no choice but to vote for Joe Biden. I don't want to do this or whatever. And boom, like Sunday, Harris, she's here. She's coming out to Beyonce. People are starting to learn about her. She was a prosecutor. She was this, like the entire Democratic Party, from everything that I've been hearing and watching, this is like, my gosh, I don't even know how to describe it, but they are invigorated. They are assimilated. They are excited. It's like a boost in the arm, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. $81 million in 24 hours, the most raised by any presidential candidate. That's including Donald Trump. You remember the mugshots, when he got the assassination attempt, like all of this. She beat all of that just for the fact of Joe Biden dropping out. And she hasn't even gotten the nomination yet. Just let's not even think about that. This is just Biden endorsing her. Nancy Pelosi came out and endorsed her. Like she does not have the nomination yet, and she's still raising money and literally taking over the airways, man. Like, poof, this is crazy. All right, this brings us to our fourth lead story. Political analysts believe Donald Trump is shaking in his boots at the thought of running against Kamala Harris. They know she will generate a lot of excitement from young people and colored people. So the article is quick. It says, so basically Trump thought Biden would be an easy W, but he's actually nervous about running against Kamala. I've been saying it to you all podcast. Take a listen from somebody who knows way more about politics than me, a political analyst. Take a listen.
Most unhappy people in America right now are Donald Trump, his campaign, and his supporters. And they also know that Kamala Harris is going to generate a lot of excitement from young people and people of color.
All right, in our fifth and final quick story, this upcoming election will be the first presidential election in almost 50 years without a Bush, Clinton, or a Biden running since 1976. This is crazy. I will break it down for those of you who don't remember, but this is what it says. It said the 2024 U.S. president election will mark a significant event. For the first time in nearly 50 years, a Bush, Clinton, or Biden will not be on the ticket. So George H.W. Bush, which is George Bush's father, so senior, he ran in 1980, 1984, and 1988. If I'm not mistaken, I think he won in 84 and 88, if I'm not mistaken. Bill Clinton ran and won in the two consecutive times that he ran, 1992 and 1996. Then George Bush Jr. ran in 2000 and 2004. Joe Biden ran in 2008, 2012, and 2020. And then, of course, Hillary Clinton ran in 2016. So that's the breakdown. What I find super interesting in that is that it almost feels like it's a changing of the guards. Like the Democratic Party has been held to like the Bushes, the Clintons, you know what I mean? And the Bidens a little bit, but yeah, it's true because Biden was vice president with Obama for 8 years. And then you had him, for 4 years as president. And he could have been, that's collectively, that's 16 years being, a president and vice president. He was in the Senate. So what I like about this is like, it almost kind of feels like the changing of a guard. It kind of feels like it's new, it's fresh. I mean, I know a lot of people don't know a lot about Kamala Harris, but I just think anything that's new and fresh with new ideas, especially her being a woman, I know an immigrant woman from Indian and Black descent. To me, I think it's a changing of a guard. I think it's something new. We don't have anything to compare it to, but I do think it's a good thing that we see change in the American political race. All right, this brings us to question of the day. Somebody wrote and said, is it me or has this summer been boring? All right, so we're going to jump over to Jordan K123 and said, summer is only fun when you're young with no responsibilities. Holyfield _HHIR said, we're all grown and got work. Gold Yella said, it's cause everything mad expensive and mediocre. On top of feeling like Jesus about to put his sandals on and bring us home. Real Santa said, very, and it's time to just, very, and time has just gone by so fast. Seeing back to school commercials just had me sit down. We might as well just say Merry Christmas. Supreme I said, we live in American summers. It ain't been right since 2017. Somebody else said, we inside, it's costing too much to go out there. One step costs you $100. Lethal Breezy said, my fall will be more light than my summer. My fall will be more light than my summer. Okay, I don't know what that means. Prince Ivy said, every year we say it's going to be better. It just ain't been the same after the pandemic. Woo, that's true. I feel like a lot of things are different after the pandemic. Like, yeah, anyways, I won't get into it because I'm running already short on time, but I agree with that comment. All right, I'll read two more. The Lion Chronicle said, people with trauma don't know how to live without drama. Okay. It's summer. Somebody said it feels like it's hell. Anyways, all right. I guess these people are really not having a good summer. All right. One more. The Sassy Collection said, the older you get, the less you're amused. And somebody said, yes, it's been a bad summer because of all these 2024 bills. So I have been having a great summer, but the reason why I've been having a great summer is because I have purposely been putting in the effort to make sure that I have a good summer. So certain things like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go eat my lunch outside. I'm going to sit down on my computer and, return some emails. I'm going to do it outside. Hey, I have an hour to do something. I'm going to go sit outside. So little things like that makes you enjoy the summer, So like, hey, I'm going to go to my sister's house, or hey, I'm going to call my friends. We're going to go out to dinner. We're going to do that. I've been consciously being like, yo, it's summer. I'm going to make the best of it. So summer is not going to just be fun on its own. Yeah, there's a little bit more activities, but if you don't like attend the activities, it's not going to be fun. But you also have to just make your own activities. And I have realized that over the past couple of summers that were like boring. My past 2 summers have been really good because I've consciously been doing things, having parties, going out and making sure that I make it a good summer. So summer is not fully over yet. It is close because it's the end of July. We have August. And like people said, you got to start getting, for those people who have kids, you got to start getting your kids back to school you got to start preparing in the next week or 2 weeks. You got to start preparing. So the next 2 weeks, or at least 3 weeks, sorry, my voice cracked there. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, make sure you guys get out, enjoy your weekdays, enjoy your weekends. Don't just wait till the weekends. Do stuff during the week. Drive, go somewhere, do something, have a picnic, do something that you wouldn't normally do, because as soon as that summer's over and that winter hits, especially here in Montreal, Toronto, and that snow hits, trust me, you're going to regret it and just wish that you could just go outside and just sit down in your backyard or your front porch or wherever it is. So just do your best to enjoy the summer. All right, this brings us to sports news. TNT matches Amazon's $1.8 billion bid for NBA package, and they say a decision of which network to advance with is now in the NBA hands. All right, I'll talk about this quickly. I think I must have touched on this, where the NBA and the WNBA is working out their television coverage media package, and the reason why they're going to be cashing in is, back in the day, you just, you went to ABC and you're like, hey, ABC, TNT, okay, give us X amount. But now with online and social media, you have Amazon, you have streaming, you have, Apple, you have this, there's so many different platforms. I could go on and on, Hulu, et cetera, Instagram, TikTok. Like, they want to make sure that they're making all the money that they could get. And the NFL signing with Amazon would be unprecedented. And it would really change the dynamic. I really want that to work. As myself, as a content creator who makes a living, online making content, I love the free world, you know, like if I wanted to have a show on ABC, I would have to go put a reel together, whatever, on ABC, and somebody put me on and say, yes, we like you, and put you on a show. You know, with YouTube, with being a content creator, you make your own content, you put it out there on an open platform. If people like it, you build up a following, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as much as I love the guys at TNT, I want to see Amazon get this deal. I want to see more deals done with streaming services and get out of the old ages of cable television. I want to see a world where there's no cable television and you just go and you have these, you know, different platforms. You watch something on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever and have everything kind of like independent. I think in the future, you'll have like a new form of cable where you'll pay one set price and that will give you Amazon and Netflix, et cetera, et cetera. But there's so much more things that you can do on Amazon versus ABC, because that's quote unquote cable, right? So anyways, we don't have time to get into that, but I really hope that the that the NBA picks Amazon to go with their deal. All right, that is the show. Thanks for kicking with me. I will see you guys on Wednesday, Hump Day, my third favorite day of the week. Before I go, I've got to remind you of all the ways to stay in touch with the show and make sure you never miss an episode. If you're used to watching this show on YouTube or listening to this on podcast platforms, please try to check me out on cfqr600.com, anywhere in the world, any device, or CFQR600 AM on the radio if you're in the Montreal area. We do play the Trent Out Loud podcast from 11 to 12. We mix it in with 90s and 2000s hip-hop and R&B. It's a great hour. It's a great way to break up your day right around your lunchtime, so try to check us out. Vice versa, if you're used to listening to this on the radio or CFQR600.com, and you can't always catch the show from 11 to 12, we understand you're busy, you got things to do. Never miss Trent Out Loud podcast. You can always catch the show on demand on YouTube platforms or on podcast platforms. Just go to your desired site, type in Trent Out Loud. The show will pop up. Don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss a show. And lastly, if you're like me and like to watch your podcast on video, Spotify now supports video. So you could watch the Trent Out Loud podcast on YouTube, or you can watch it on Spotify. If you ask me, Spotify is the better place to watch video because the app, if you're doing stuff or you want to do stuff in your phone or your computer, it never closes. We're on YouTube. On your phone, it closes. So check me out. Those are all the places that you could follow and stay up with the show. Lastly, of course, on social media platforms, Trent Out Loud, or on Instagram at Exclusivity Media. That is where we upload all the videos that we play on the Trent Out Loud podcast in their entirety. On the podcast, we have to cut them up. You can go check them out on Exclusivity Media in full form. That's all the ways to stay with the show. Thank you so much for your support and for watching, following, giving us our likes and our subscribes. We'll see you tomorrow for Wednesday's show. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Trent Out Loud. Peace.